there will be a traffic jam. It's the same with your own body. If you suddenly start trying to like explode all the toxins out of your body, it will cause a traffic jam, and you'll probably end up in the hospital if you do it, in a very extreme way. And I've seen it happen. Like you'll end up with like a gallstone or something, and they'll try to take out your gallbladder, right? So um, you got to do it gradually, while understanding that you have to support the organs that are going to help neutralize the toxins, and then also ensure that the pathway out is flowing properly, right? So you're having bowel movements at least daily, maybe within 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours of every meal. And so if you're constipated, you're just going to be doing enemas, okay? And you're oftentimes going to be I mean, we've found it very beneficial to use green coffee enemas or light roast coffee enemas to help stimulate the liver, to help it detoxify. It's very beneficial for most people. And then stimulating sweating every day. An important point is that there are some things that are helpful in some situations and harmful in other situations. And so if you're optimally healthy, yes, exercise is, you need to exercise. But if you're really, really sick, exercise may not be the right thing for you. And it usually is not the right thing. And the reason is the body has certain modes, right? Just like you can either do a deep spring cleaning or you can do like a renovation of your house, but you can't do both at the same time. It's just impossible. Okay. There's just too much mess made by renovating that you can't spring clean at the same time as you're making a mess, right? The two things don't make sense. And your body's the same way. You can't build it up and become like Superman while you're trying to detoxify and get rid of stuff, because the stuff is stored in your body. You got to like break down your body to release it, right? And you just don't have enough energy to do both at the same time. It's just not possible. And it's probably just physically not possible, even if you had unlimited energy, to do two completely opposite things at the same time. You just can't. So you're going to have to make certain, allowances in the first months to year or so, of healing, where you're shifting your body into detox mode. And that's going to include changes to your diet. Autoimmune paleo is probably a good place, plus low carb. And some people might have to even go further, but you're getting rid of things that are enabling excess inflammation. And so you're stuck in like a situation where, yes, your body is keeping things in balance. So I'm not saying inflammation is bad, but now you're going to start trying to de-escalate the situation. You're going to try to ratchet down the inflammation at the same time as you're ratcheting down the reason for the inflammation, right? So you're doing both at the same time. And you're trying to like calm your body down and tell it like, okay, I'm slowly helping decrease the problem, right? Yet the body maybe, usually needs some help in terms of like sending it the right signals, right? So for example, breath work is oftentimes very important because it helps to calm you down. And the reason it's necessary nowadays, especially, is because we can't escape all the toxic exposures, and the EMFs especially, right? So there's constant stress signal being sent to your body, right? And you have to like counteract that stress signal and tell it that like, okay, I understand that this is a problem, but we're trying to do like a bigger project here of like gradually de-escalating the situation, and releasing things, right, is only possible when you're relaxed, right? Like you have to have some relaxation. So it's like the way we learn it in med school, and you guys probably heard this too, is the rest and digest nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is the other side of the coin of the sympathetic, fight or flight response. That we have to trigger the rest and digest. Like, what does digest mean? It means you take care of things, and you get rid of toxins, right? Digestion and then excretion is part of digestion. And so we have to go into that mode. We have to calm ourselves down so that we're able to release, right? So our body feels safe enough that there aren't more and more toxins coming in. Now I can let them go, right? So that's where it begins. It begins with, and you have to have this comprehensive approach of trying to minimize the incoming toxins as much as possible, and optimize the periods of time and the things that you do that help get your body into detox mode, like sleep. Really, really good sleep is just absolutely, like you can't go without it if you're trying to heal. We do believe at this point, based on the best evidence we have, that the brain never detoxes except when you're asleep. Okay, so your brain is in charge of a lot of the stuff going on in your body, and if you can't detoxify it, you can't really solve a lot of problems that you have. So you're going to have to optimize sleep, which means optimizing circadian rhythms, which means calming yourself down by the time it gets to bedtime, calming down your nervous system. You're gonna, and then once the toxin gets out of you, right? If it goes into your, so there's a couple of steps to this, right? First, the toxin is released from the cell that it's stored in or whatever, like oftentimes fat cells, and it goes into the bloodstream, right? Now, in the bloodstream, it's going to go to your liver. And if your liver is too backed up, not able to take care of it, it'll just stay in your bloodstream and then circulate back to your tissues and be stored again, right? So you don't want that. So the next step, you have to get out of your bloodstream. You have to make sure the liver's functioning properly and the kidneys are functioning properly, so then it gets into the kidney from the bloodstream, or it gets into the liver. And then the liver has to be able to process it and send it into the stool, right? Once it's in the stool, your body has to remove it and defecate, right? Get it out. And if it doesn't do it quickly enough, it's going to recirculate, be reabsorbed oftentimes from your stool back into your bloodstream, right? And you just end up right back where you started. So one of the things that helps a lot is to take a toxin binder, like, there's a lot of different ones. There's activated charcoal, there's chlorella, there's zeolite, there's all kinds, right? And some work a little bit better for some toxins and some work a little bit better for other toxins, but they all pretty much address, have a broad spectrum, they address all toxins pretty well. So that will help, bind the thing in your stool so that it actually leaves your body. And then there's kind of a drawback to that it's also going to bind some nutrients. So you're going to have to take, focus on really, really nutrient dense stuff like organ meats, I think are very, very crucial for most people as they're going through this. Vegetable juicing, I think, is going to be crucial for most people. There are, nutrients that you need from plants, and they will also, one of the ways this works, the way our ancestors thought about it, was that all the things that are in us are also in plants, right? So there's mold inside of plants, and there's, microbes, and there's all kinds of things, right? And the plants have to deal with those things. So when there's an overgrowth of mold in a plant, it has certain anti-mold, constituents, phytonutrients that will attack the mold and the microbes and keep them in check. And so it helps your own body. Like a lot of the stuff in plants will help certain organ systems and certain parts of your body deal with the stresses of trying to detox. So, you're going to want to sweat every day, whether that's in a sauna or in a hot bath is really helpful oftentimes. You're going to want to be drinking plenty of fluids so that you're urinating a lot, because you're going to be releasing toxins as you go through this. And then as you're releasing toxins, you want to also be kind of paring back the microorganisms. So you're going to take an antimicrobial, a broad spectrum antimicrobial that covers a lot of different things. And a lot of herbs are like that, again, right? Coming from plants, they have broad spectrum effects on every microbe. And so you're slowly killing off microbes. That's going to release some of the toxins that they had bound. You're going to be binding the toxins and helping the organs that help get them out of your body. And you're going to be calming down your nervous system to help the organs that eliminate things work optimally. You're going to be sleeping well. And it's comprehensive, right? You're going to have to be doing all of these things and eventually addressing emotional health also to help optimize the functioning of your body, essentially, right? And the whole thing with your body, all of the stuff that you're doing with your body, you have to keep in mind that the real thing that I need to address is my soul that created this thing in my body. And if I don't address that, all this stuff I'm doing in the body is going to be for naught. It's not actually going to fix the soul part of it. So at the same time, you have to start. And usually somebody has to kind of like point out to you that like, hey, you just get angry too much. Okay. You're too fearful, right? Or you're too whatever, right? You can be the opposite too. You can be too joy. There can be like too much laughing, right? Maybe you go to and you watch comedies all day long, every day for years and years and years. It's too much laughter. Like there's a right amount of everything, right? So you got to balance everything so that your body is also in balance. So just keeping that in mind, that you have to start thinking about toxins at higher levels as well as the physical toxins. And yes, I think probably if you pick somebody up and drop them in the middle of Alaska or something, away from all cell phone fields and all, wireless EMFs, and they weren't exposed, much less toxins, and they just had to live off the land, they would, lose weight very, very fast. I mean, losing weight is not actually hard once you hit the right things, right? And so in my experience, I found that focusing on the toxins will help to do that, but also focusing on the stress, because any form of stress, whether you're aware of it or not, whether it's physical or emotional, stimulates cortisol, and it stimulates, the fear, and that stimulates cortisol and adrenaline, and it's going to stimulate estrogen, and all of these things make you fat. So, yeah. So sleeping, you may not notice the pounds drop off immediately when you start sleeping better or you start addressing stress, but it will enable the scale to start going in the other direction, of weight loss eventually. And obviously, I mean, there's a lot of stuff with weight. I mean, there's not just obesogens, but there's, thyroid dysfunction, all kinds of things that can tie into weight. But I would, try to get people to start thinking at a higher level instead of worrying about what does my thyroid hormone show? What is my testosterone level? What is this? What is that? Like, you have to give your body the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, my body's doing the right thing. Now I have to figure out why it's doing that. And it's really not that complicated. Again, when you put yourself in the perspective of like, what would my life have looked like 1,000 years ago? If you live that life as closely as possible, everything will fall into place for you.